Hello and welcome to another edition of Turned Out of Punk Splits. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, but Turned Out of Punk Splits is where we take not one, but two former guests of the show. They may or may not know each other, and we bring them together for, it's always worked out, a really great conversation. And today on the show, returning to the show, two guests that have two of the best episodes of Turn Out of Punk. And if you do not believe me, go back and listen to these two episodes. From Shoo Shoo, Jamie Stewart makes their triumphant return to Turn Out of Punk. And my buddy, my pal, who I grew up with, just hanging out at record stores with, well, he worked at the record store. I just punished the shit out of the people that worked at the record store. But Kevin Hegge is back on the show. And this is a good one. I'm going to warn you now. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, it gets cut short. But this could have been the longest episode of Turn Out of Punk, period, ever, if we had been able to keep going. Because, my gosh, it gets going. I'm not going to overhype it to you, but this one's got good energy and goes places. As I said off the top, Jamie Stewart is from the band Shoo Shoo. And go back and listen to Jamie's first episode because it is a mind blower. And they have a brand new record with Shoo Shoo, and the album is called Shoo Motherfucking Shoo Volume 1, and they are doing a collection of incredible covers. And if you are thinking, well, what does a Shoo Shoo cover record look like? It might be the only cover record in existence or they might be the only group in existence to do a Robin cover and a Coil cover. That's kind of the range here. There's all sorts of classic songs from all different eras of punk-informed music. Well, I don't know if we can claim Robin coming out of punk rock. Maybe Robin came out of punk rock. I've never met Robin. But there's some killer songs. These are unbelievable renditions of them, as with everything Shoo Shoo does. Also, Jamie has a book, and it is called Anything That Moves. And whew, this is a book and a half. I strongly recommend reading this thing. It's not an all ages book, definitely for a more mature audience. But if you are a mature audience, this is the book for you. And then, of course, Kevin Hegge is, as I say in this as I say in this episode, he is one of my favorite documentarians making films today. She Said Boom, his fantastic documentary about Fifth Column, local heroes from Toronto, is well worth your time seeing. And then his second documentary, Tramps, is completely mind-blowing, tracing this whole history that links the art scene to the new romantic scene, and Sex Pistols are in there. If you like this podcast, you will fucking love Tramps. And also, as with Jamie, Kevin's first episode is phenomenal, and go back and listen to it. I could just talk about their first two appearances on this podcast for another 25, 45 minutes, but I will not do that to you. I will let you listen to this thing. Check out She Said Boom. You can find it streaming if depending on where you are in the world, you can find it streaming. And depending how handy you are with a VPN, no matter where you are in the world, you can find this thing streaming. Tramps might be a little harder to find these days, but if you get the opportunity to see Tramps in any form, take it, because this is legitimately one of my favorite music documentaries ever made. Also worth noting, Shoo Shoo will be continuing this Eraserhead tour that they've been doing in April. They've got a few more dates for that, where they're going to be performing a reimagined soundtrack to Eraserhead. As Jamie talks about in this episode, this is going to be something that is going to be very hard to get released anywhere. So if you get the opportunity to see this live, take it. As far as notes for this episode, I definitely have a note. The film Pink Fuhrer that I refer to in this episode is actually called Hidden Fuhrer, and it's a documentary by Fenton Bailey and Randy Barbado, and they are the directors now of Drag Race, RuPaul's Drag Race. They also do The Eyes of Tammy Faye and Party Monster, so all worth seeing. And finally, I might have overstated the NoFX connection in the episode. Kenny, who we talk about in this episode, played in NoFX, but he wasn't actually in NoFX. He plays on Punk and Drublic, which is arguably their most important record. So, and he's on more than one track. So I stand by it. He did play in NoFX. He just wasn't necessarily in NoFX. It'll make sense when you get to the part of the episode. That's it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy Jamie Stewart and Kevin Hegge on Turned Out a Punk Splits. Jamie, Kevin, Jamie, both of you, welcome back to the show.
Ahoy, a pleasure to be here.
Nice to be back.
Well, as I just set you guys off air, I owe you both an apology because both of your episodes remain two of my favorite episodes of all time. Like, I feel like for not even really that different reasons. Both of them just have such great energy when I went back and re-listened to them. And after both of them, promised you that you both would be back very soon. And Jamie, it's been years, and Kevin, it's even been years since you've been on the show. So my apologies for the delay.
Nothing to apologize. It gives us more to talk about, more to catch up on.
Yeah, and a reason to get out of bed.
Exactly. And I feel
in my
like
case, it's late. The time is later, so a reason for me to go back to bed up front.
Oh, aren't you? You're going to the club. You're in Berlin, aren't you?
Yeah.
There.
Well, this is a podcast for all manners of excitement. Be it bedtime, wake up time, club time, or just hanging in my basement, avoiding adult responsibility time, which is what I do all the time.
Hooray!
Yeah.
But this is a splits, and I haven't done a splits in a long time. And the reason that I kind of like came up with these shows was like to bring back two guests that I thought would fit together for a conversation. I've had like a bunch of different ones, and I feel like this is one that I've been thinking about long before the podcast even existed, because I remember, Kevin, talking to you about Shushu in Rotate, like way back when.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that
different era. Yeah.
And I feel like that's what I'm saying. Like my tastes have grown together more with yours, because I feel like you and me are now more in alignment with taste, because at a different time in my life, I was, no, as much as I love Shushu, I feel like you were into more artier, noisier stuff, and I was into more basic bitch punk stuff.
Punk stuff.
But on your episode, you let slip a little detail that even back then we were closer than you ever let on. You got into punk through NoFX.
Oh, I mean, fuck you. How dare you? How dare you take that sacred secret? I did not get into punk by NoFX. It's just when you're in a small town and you work with what you got. And I was just being honest. But you know what? Yeah, let's say yes.
Well,
and let's say I'm fine with that.
This is why I'm glad you did not hear Jamie's episode, because this is our connection to Jamie. Okay. Jamie's early band featured a former member of NoFX. Jamie is members with a member of NoFX in a band.
Okay, which band was that?
Kenny Lyon from Live.
Was Kenny Lyon? Oh, that's right. Oh, he played with El Jefe. I don't know that he would. Did he play in NoFX?
Oh, you better believe it, Jamie. He was in NoFX.
I didn't know that. Oh, fucking A. Wow. Yeah, I learned a lot from him when I was a kid. Oh my God. He just gets cooler and cooler. Jesus Christ.
Wait, what was that band like?
I was a little kid. And I mean, not like 5, but I was like a teenager. And I ended up being in a band with Kenny Lyon, with Paul Rossler, who was in the Screamers, with David Kendrick, who was in Sparks and Devo, and now is actually in Shushu, and with Geza X, who was a Black Flag and Germs producer, and in this band called the Mommy Men, and Butt Trumpet, and then the singer Josie Cotton. And it was just kind of like they were all older and for some reason wanted a child in their band. So I guess a point of amusement. But anyway, it definitely it set me on the right road, as one would imagine. Wow. I had a lot to absorb from all of those geniuses.
Josie Cotton is someone I know nothing about.
She's a really spectacular singer. She had a kind of, I guess now I can't tell if it's funny or just so questionable it's not funny, hit in the 80s called Johnny Are You Queer?
Yeah, no, that's the only thing I know about.
That's the only thing. Yeah. And then she went on to kind of become like sort of like guess like I don't know. This is I guess like an exotica singer,
Oh,
kind of like or like yeah.
that's
I
very
mean,
LA.
yeah. She's definitely gone on, like, continue to go on to make a lot of records, but records with marimbas and tropical bird sounds on them.
Okay.
I think Paul Rossler, I think, still plays with her.
Okay. Yeah. Will Google.
It's probably the
Yeah.
greatest band ever described on Turned Out a Punk. Like on paper, and I know Jamie was like, yeah, the music's a little not as great as it sounds, but
I can't really remember the music all that well. I know it was Geza got really into. Do you guys know what rye music is?
no.
It's kind of like in the 80s, it's like Algerian, kind of like it's like Algerian funk, but with 808s. It was in this. Cheb Khaled is kind of like the big singer, so he was trying to do like a punk rock version of rye music. Um, so it was more like that. It wasn't like a straight ahead like LA style punk band.
Were
It
there
was
synths involved? Was it already like was there like an electronics thing?
not so much. There was a Paul play keyboard, but it wasn't synthy. It wasn't as synthy as rye music is. It was much more organic. But it had. I think he was trying to infuse both of those worlds somehow together. I don't know. I don't like. I think the band made some demos, but never actually made any records.
Hilarious and incredible.
Hilarious is about right.
There's also one other member for one brief half jam session at a show that you're leaving out.
Oh, Gigi Allen.
What?
So
Wait,
we
what?
were well, he wasn't a member, but we were this band, which had the name of the band is hard for me to say out loud because it's not a good band name.
Mm.
The Live Nude Psychics.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh is fair. That's a fair assessment.
I
I
mean,
had
you've
nothing
seen
to do with
band names
this.
these days, like,
Yeah.
you know.
It could have had a better name. But anyway, so the Live Nude Psychics were playing at this club in LA called Raji's. And on stage was just Geza, David Kendrick, the drummer, and myself. I think I don't know what we were doing, like sound checking or something, but the room was full. I don't. We must have been late or playing in the middle or something, so we weren't really sound checking. But then I could see Gigi Allen and some of his like what the fuck were they called? Not murder droids, like his
Murder
little
Junkies.
minions. Murder junkies. Thank you. Murder droids is pretty funny
Murder
though.
Droids is a great one.
Good band
Those
name.
are Shoo Shoo fans.
Yeah, those are sushi
and,
fans.
and they came in, and I mean, I'm just like skinny and little, and I know who he is, but he's fucking frightening. And like David and Geza look scared too, and he just comes on stage and his little murder junkies, they're like in hospital scrubs with like fake blood or real blood poured all over them. And Gigi Allen jumps on stage and he just looks at us and he goes, "Play a blues." So we just start like playing this like 12 bar punk rock blues. And then he just starts talking about whatever Gigi Allen shit that Gigi Allen talks about. But I could see, I think the security at the club, and it was very full. It was not a big room, maybe like 250 capacity or something. And then I could see, although it was full, like the security guards going, "Oh, he can't be here. This is not, we can't have this person in this, even though this is fucking Raji's, we can't have this guy in here." And the bouncers very slowly kind of winding from the back of the room to the crowd. There was three of them. And then Gigi Allen is doing his gravelly Gigi Allen, whatever, toasting. And then like these were very experienced bouncers. They like one of them grabbed him around his feet, one of them grabbed him around his waist, one of them grabbed him around his shoulders, and it was like they wrapped him in a carpet, and he was just like zoop, off the stage and out the side door, and that was the end of the G Allen Blues Jam. That was it. It could have been way more tragic and way more fascinating, but I did blues jam with Gigi Allen for 5 minutes in
Wow.
the 90s, right before he died.
Yeah, it's funny. It was
God,
a
I forgot
small
all
club.
about that. I'm
I
glad
don't.
you reminded me. Thanks. I don't know. I should think about this every day when I feel ashamed about who I am. Just remember that.
Yeah,
It remains like the top three Gigi Allen stories ever told in this podcast. And I
What
feel
are the
like
other ones?
Well, I think Gigi Allen's like one of those guys, right? That it's just like everyone's got, not everyone, but like anyone that was in that orbit that was around him comes away with some terrifying story. Like I'm just reading Lisa Suckdog Carver's autobiography, and she meets him for the first time, and he like tries to rape her, and it's
Oh,
like
cool.
in a club at in front of everybody, and she's like, she has this really kind of like, I don't want to spoil the. I'm not really spoiling it. There's a lot of stuff in this book that's worth
Spoilers.
the read, but she
Rape
has this sort of like
spoiler.
long pen pal love affair with Gigi that starts when she's very underage, and she finally meets him, and this incident kind of happens, and then she's like, "Yeah, I realized at that point I could never be around him by myself because
Right.
I would
Because he is a
die."
violent rapist. Okay.
Yes,
Who rapes children, child
yeah.
fans. Wow.
I thought they officially dated. I thought it was like a
I like.
thing.
I'm not at the part of the book where she interviews him again for roller derby.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So maybe there's some sort of like greater reconciliation, but it is something where like it haunts other relationships she has because she's continuing this pen pal relationship with him, and guys find out and get quite upset. It's a book and a half. Like I'm as I say, I'm not even done the whole
I
thing,
gotta
and I'm
check
like
this out.
it's a
Wow.
Yeah, I'm getting that as soon as we get off
it's a
this
it's
call.
yeah, like there's no punches pulled type thing. Like Jamie, your book as well is another one of those books where you're like, wow, this is a like like I don't want to say brave in anything, but like because it's an amazing book. It's like so I don't mean brave as in like wow that's brave. Like it's an amazing book, but there's also like a level of oh my gosh you're laid bare.
Well,
And sometimes in
thanks for
latex.
checking it out.
um, I think the back to your question though about the other Gigi Allen stories. One,
Yeah, yeah.
Terry T was on and tells a story about how Gigi ate her tampon at a
Oh,
show.
wow.
She tried to call his bluff, gave him a tampon, and then
Did he chew it or like swallow it whole or
she
Or
like,
just
just kind of suck it.
yeah,
or
like
yeah, or just like,
he was it was
Yeah.
his this infamous first show back from prison where he's in the bathroom stall at the club. I'm trying to remember the club. It's like one of the big New York clubs. And he's got this like crazy all-star band with like Jay Mascis, Don Fleming, Thurston Moore was supposed to be in
wow.
it, but was smart enough not to show up. Um and then Gigi's in the bathroom, and everyone thought it's a joke, right? Like that's the thing about Gigi, because like there's no internet to really get this verification on it. Like it's amazing that you knew enough to know I got to stay away from this fucking guy at that age, because a lot of people who are a little bit older than you didn't seem to have that wherewithal at that point. And he was in the bathroom, the women's bathroom at the club, sort of, I guess, just making a scene. And there's a big crowd kind of around him. And Terry walks in and goes to go to the stall. And he's like, "What are you doing? Piss on me, piss on me." And she's like, "No, no, I'm not pissing." She's like, "Shit on me, shit on me, shit on me." She's like, "No, I'm not shitting." He's like, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" She's like, "Well, I got to change my tampon if you got to know." And he's like, "I'll give it to me. I'll eat it." So she's like, all right, like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to call him on this. And so she takes out the tampon, puts it in a piece of toilet paper, and then walks out, hands it to Gigi. And Gigi's like, immediately starts eating it, sucking on it.
Wow. Wow.
And she just is like, oh my God, it's for real. And then spent the rest of the night trying to get away from him. And there's a Gigi Allen song. And forgive me, my knowledge of Gigi Allen is not that deep, as surprisingly as
There's
I'm
too many
going.
songs.
Yeah, too many classics, you know, who can go through that catalog? And but he's got a song like Bloody Mary, Bloody Cunt that he wrote about the incident later on, or
Oh.
immortalized the incident,
Wow.
I should say.
I actually think
Well,
it's kind of nice. I wish more men, were less afraid of period blood and menstruation, Gigi was onto something. I think that maybe he could have led men into a more, you know,
he's like a snack innovator.
he's a snack innovator.
Yeah.
And then one that actually came up most recently is Choke from the band Slapshot was on the podcast and told his story about going to see Gigi Allen. And Gigi Allen in sort of like the craziness. This isn't late period Gigi Allen. This is kind of sort of mid period Gigi Allen, where it was just starting to get really crazy. Stops the show and says, "I'm not going to finish the set until someone comes up here and lets me blow him." And the bouncer, who Choke thought was the bouncer, the big guy, walked up to the front. And he thought, "Oh, he's going to throw out Gigi." Dropped his pants, and then Gigi just blew him in front of the whole
Wow.
crowd, just watching as it
Right
was going
on.
on.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, like it's and
I mean, I don't.
It's literally amazing.
Yeah.
It's literally, it would be truly something that you would not forget at a Gigi Allen show. And I think
Or any show.
any show, yeah, like I can't, like it really brings, and I don't think anyone wants to claim Gigi Allen in any community, but like the idea that so much of this sort of like toxic masculinity in punk, I think can be traced to like unaddressed sexual issues in a lot of cases.
Or
In
yeah, or toxic masculinity generally.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And I think that's a micro. We get a real microcosm for it in punk rock, and there's like real tangible examples. And the same way, I guess you could look at evangelical religions and kind of point the same thing out. But I think in punk rock, there's Nikki Crane, head of Screwdriver Security, who at the same time had this sort of double life in the clubs and was very out as sort of like a gay man by one scene, but very much super homophobic, super racist, just a terrible blight on society in this other part of his life. And just sort of the way he was able to partition these two things, it's almost this it's like a case study for toxic masculinity, like you're saying.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who fucked him, and many of them were women, and it's he sounded like a scary guy because I don't know if he was fully out when he was working the door at Heaven. I think that I'm perplexed by the story about how somebody from such a violent community managed to work at such a huge, like a prominent gay space because it wasn't like an obscure club or anything like that. It was it was like the main club. Um, Also where a lot of bands performed, like Throbbing Gristle played there and like to the Erasure and the Pet Shop Boys. I think Pet Shop Boys had their first show at Heaven. So I don't know. I can't just imagine that it's like a pre-internet thing. I don't know how these, as much as I look at these eras, I don't really know in reality how they played out. I don't know how Nicky Crane survived that or whether he should have.
Yeah, there's an interesting BBC documentary about it that I saw
No way.
years ago, just sort of like looking at this and interviewing people from sort of both sides of his life, like obviously Nazi type people that have at least quote unquote renounced, but like, and sort of talking about this sort of like dual side. There's a book that came out about the history of sort of like neo-Nazi music, I guess, British neo-Nazi music that Feral House reissued a couple years ago that um, there's like this sort of like, once again, hopefully ex-Nazi in it who talks at one point about like Nicky Crane as this sort of hero of the Nazi movement. And then in another chapter is like, oh, I could always tell when I looked in his eyes that he was gay. I always knew. And it's like, well, two chapters ago, you're talking about how he's like this sort of like great hero for you. And like, and so it's this, once again,
Get a guy who can do both.
exactly. Well, and I feel like this is sort of this unreal, like untalked about history within punk rock that affects real mainstream history. Like we're looking at the real results of what this neo-Nazi bullshit kind of led to right now, and the Proud Boys are a direct result of this kind of shit. Like it's interesting, and I feel like if we did expose more of this history and talked about more of this history, I think it would disempower a lot of the sort of stuff that is allowed to kind of grow out of it in the under the cover of
Yeah, I
darkness.
don't I don't think I've ever seen that formally discussed anywhere. I mean,
It
it certainly has come up on a case by case basis, but that is definitely worth some sort of codified investigation of. That's interesting.
There's a book by Stewart Home, Cranked Up Really High, about the history of punk. AK Press put it out. Believe he's a queer sort of skinhead writer, wrote about a lot of interesting books in the 90s. And there's like a history of punk book, and the whole chapter wrote Screwdriver in that. He kind of postulates that Nicky Crane and Ian Stewart, who were like in roommate situation for a long time, um, based on when Nicky Crane came out as gay, and based on when he subsequently, I guess he died of AIDS, I believe, eventually. But like he goes into this whole sort of thing that like they were probably lovers, is kind of what he speculates in this book. Once again, it's his book. Like I don't, and once again, I don't want to put it on any sort of community or any population. Like no one wants to claim Gigi Allin, and no one definitely wants to claim Ian Stewart or Nikki Crane. But I feel like there's so much of what motivated this sort of like hate in their inability to accept who they were.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, ice.
Yeah.
I don't want to. That's like the last thing in the world I feel like talking about. But yeah, I mean, it is certainly not ended.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of Nikki Cranes in like the,
Oh yeah, no fucking doubt. There's no way
I
there's
mean,
not.
Berlin must be interesting right now in terms of like all of this conversation because it's like this place that's sort of liberating and potentially hedonistic for a lot of people, but then right now it's like this very heightened, well, at least from what I'm hearing, very heightened version of all of that hatred coalescing in a way that is more visible than ever. Are you finding any weirdness around that?
Well, not around that, particularly in Berlin, certainly in Germany. The weirdness in Berlin and law enforcement has to do with, it relates to the very shirt you're wearing, with
Yeah.
protest about Palestine. Um, I mean, I'm going to sound like an ass talking about it because I mean, I'm not German. Uh, I don't, I mean, these are, things that I only gleaned from reading the newspaper. I don't live it. I don't really understand the psychology particularly, but my understanding of it is, and I am probably gonna miss a lot of nuance in this, is for obvious reasons, uh, people in Germany are feel fairly unresolved about questions around Zionism having to do with some small events in their 20th century history that we may not know anything about. Um, so
Will
uh,
Google.
yeah, possibly, yeah. So because of that, there is I feel like I'm even bigger at it because there's a term for it, but essentially, the philosophy around the term comes around Israel right or wrong, and it's a way of just trying to just kind of muddle through the sins of people's grandparents. How having perpetrated one of the worst crimes in human history. Um, Germany will, no matter what Israel does, support Israel, regardless of the logic of what is happening. So, um, very unfortunately, and again, obviously, the things that are happening in Israel versus Palestine in recent history are clearly a genocide. The official German stance is you can't say a bad thing about Israel. It doesn't have anything to do with Judaism. It doesn't have anything to do with Semitism or anti-Semitism. It has to do with the fucking ADF and is Israeli governmental policy. It's so pro-Palestinian protests are, and I was very, very surprised by this violently crackdown by the police.
Yeah.
And I live in a Turkish and Arabic neighborhood, and it's it is in Berlin is a very, very safe city unless you are a Turkish or Arabic person protesting a genocide that has to do with Israel. Um, Around questions in Berlin, Berlin is sort of this hyper, aside from this issue, is a hyper liberal bubble in the rest of Germany. But I mean, everybody fucking hates Trump, everybody hates ICE, everybody hates the Republicans. But I mean, even among uh, you know, and even Antifa, even German Antifa kind of subscribes to this idea of I'm embarrassed I can't remember the term, but this sort of Israel right or wrong thing. Like it's like they cannot wrap their heads around. There's too much pain, too much unresolved guilt around what happened, what they did in the Holocaust, what Germans perpetrated, the Holocaust I'm allowed to have perpetrated, that even people on the left can't see the difference between you can support Jewish people, you can love Jewish people, you can be a Jew, and the separation between Israeli war policy, ADF policy, and Israeli colonial policy, that they just can't make that separation. I have a very very close friend here who's Jewish, super pro-Palestinian, and has found it uh, remarkably difficult to deal with his friends and his professional life. It's uh, as an American with obviously a totally different take on World War II history, and I haven't been here that long. It's I was completely flummoxed and remain flummoxed that is essentially the baseline national reaction to the genocide in Palestine. It's it's very very fucking weird that there can be
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make
so much
you.
liberalism here, and then have that also just sort of existing in
Yeah,
the same space.
I didn't mean to make you like make a statement about
Oh, I
all of
mean, it
that. But
came up. It
yeah,
had to do with what we were talking about, and there's no short answer. So sorry, I rambled.
yeah. No, I guess was picturing like skinheads everywhere and stomping through people's
not
neighborhood.
not here, not in Berlin, and other parts of Germany that
For sure.
certainly unfortunately exist. And there's some bizarre acceptance of that.
Have you seen that documentary? And I can't believe I'm blanking on the guy's name. It's the guy who did Party Monster, Pink Fuhrer.
Oh no,
It's like about the sort of
Sounds like
like,
a choo-choo song too.
but it's sort of like a deep dive into the sort of like, I guess more it's about sort of the conspiracy mindset that leads to this sort of conspiracy that Hitler is gay or Hitler was gay. And
Yeah.
it's sort of
I
like
don't know that it's necessarily a conspiracy. I mean, I think a lot of his upper echelon was really pointedly documented as being such. And
that's what this says. But then it's, I think, I wish I could remember the name of the documentarian again, and also would recommend seeing it because I saw it a long time ago. But I think there's like a greater meta thesis he's making about homophobia in history and the need to villainize people and portray them a certain way. In addition to also pointing out that yes, there was a lot of gay people in the upper echelons of the SS. It's a I'm not doing it justice by just talking
The
about
OG Nikki Crane, it's a legacy.
yeah, yeah,
It's a,
yeah. That's what it
it's a
sounds like.
vibe. It's a
toxic
community
It's a
masculinity.
vibe. It's a vibe.
vibe.
Gosh.
The there was some stuff that I skipped over though last time with you, Jamie, that I wanted to bring up. Number one, in the history of the podcast, you have had some of the greatest band names: Brutus Ate a Taco, Techno Animal, Live Nude
Oh,
Psychics,
Techno Primal is even worse than
Techno
Techno
Primal.
Animal.
That's it, Techno
Yeah,
Primal.
even
Man.
worse.
or better, or better, depending on what you take on it. Those are my favorite. But one that you did not bring up is 10 in the Swear Jar.
I was just gonna
Oh,
say,
yeah.
For me, this band is fascinating because this also connects you through to kind of like the Bay Area sort of, I guess, pop punk ska kind of scene, right? Between Maya Osaki, I believe.
Oh, Mia Osaki.
Mia
Yeah,
Osaki, apologies, was in the Chinkies and also in the Bruce Lee band.
yeah, and worked at Asian Man Records for a long time. Actually, the band that I was in before that, which also had a really dubious name, the Indestructible Beat of Palo Alto, was timeline wise a little bit more related to the Bay Area third wave ska scene.
Would you guys play
Um,
shows with those types of bands? Like, would you
yeah,
like Link
all the
80?
time. Like we didn't sound like that band, those kind of bands, and we were just older enough by a couple years that weren't really into those bands, but I listened to a lot of two-tone, and reggae was the first music that I got into that wasn't top 40. So I knew ska, but I'd never really liked third wave ska that much. But we had horns in our band, and there was like 7 people in it. So it's sort of, even though musically we didn't really have anything to do with it, if you looked at our band and there was 7 people and some horns, and looked at every fucking third wave ska band with 7 people and horns. We ended up playing with them. And then also, I mean, I lived in San Jose at the time, and that was, any sort of medium-sized city, there was an assload of third wave ska bands. So they were definitely around. And then, I'm still friends with Mike Parker, Measurement Records, and Mia Osaki, who's one of my oldest and closest friends who worked there. She and I are still friends too. Um, so it was around. Never an influence, but certainly around. Oh, also, I used to record bands in my house and recorded a fucking ton of like high school third wave ska bands. Like every single weekend, I had no idea how I didn't get evicted for doing this. But for a couple years, um, I didn't entirely make my living doing that, but was like like really supplemented my income by, charging like $12 an hour or something like that.
And this will blow your mind, Kevin. One of these bands was the pre-Donnas Riot Girl style band.
Oh, Raggedy Ann. Yeah, that was even before. Yeah. Um,
You recorded this pre-Donna's band.
yeah, yeah. This was pre third wave ska really rearing its um overly jolly head. I don't know what kind of head third wave ska has. Yeah, it was with I had a 2-track Sony reel to reel that my grandpa gave me, and I just set up 2 mics in the living room, and they played live. They were great. Like even, I mean, they were like 6 or 7 years old. I mean, not really, but they were like maybe in ninth grade, maybe in junior high. I can't remember. They were very, very, very little, but they've fucking brought it. They sounded fantastic. I was not surprised in any way that they went on to become a real band. But yeah, they were Raggedy Ann, and then became the Electrocutes, and then
Oh,
became the
right.
Donnas.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Allison, especially the guitar player, was a badass even as a
Yeah.
kid.
We need some Donnas in our life. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, it has been a minute.
I feel like they're due for sort of a cultural reassessment, resurgence, sort of like in the wake of a lot of these sort of like they just were ahead of their time. There wasn't really space for a band that was that straightforward, kind of good rock and roll band. Like it's obviously the industry sucks, right? But I feel like now they would be a lot better situated than they were then.
Yeah, yeah, it has been at the exact right amount of time. I would not be surprised if they get some love again. I hope that they do. They certainly deserve it.
We're starting it right now.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, oh,
starting
it's true. It is happening right now.
calling all Donnas. Time to wake up. I mean, I even loved I think that Spend the Night record came out like in the later time when I was working at the record store, and it was just like a version of like dumb, I mean, incredibly smart. Their lyrics are so smart, but they're framed in this like, oh, boys drool and girls rule, which we also need more of. But like, it's like they had to lean into the fact that they were all women. They're like, well, we're just gonna be like we're with these really juvenile sentiments about boys and everything, and because if they were men that were doing that kind of music, obviously they wouldn't be in the position they are or were now. But we would put on that record, and it was funny because things got like incredibly froshy when I listened to that record. Actually, things got froshy for me. I can't speak of the rest of the employees, but like all
Oh,
of the
what does that word? What does that word mean? Sorry.
like frosh, like I thought it was an American word, like frosh, like a frosh
Like fratty.
fratty. Yeah, like when
Okay, okay.
you go to university and it's like the first week and you're just getting drunk and fucking and being dumb. It's like the party part of university, which I didn't go to, so I just know about it from movies. But um,
It's all from
like
PCU.
yeah, like fratty though, like a kind of a
Okay.
fratty thing, like frat party and. Um, it's funny. I love those records when people turn away from bands because they're sellouts or they have so much money or it's like shiny. There's so many gems hidden in there, and it's interesting to go back and remember they did the one after that. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like metal
Hmm.
or like it was really riffy, like lots of like shredding. It was like hilarious. I feel like it's one of those things like what you can do behind people's backs, like right in broad daylight or whatever. They were really good at that. They were really good at embracing the joke. And yeah, thanks for bringing that up because now I want to party.
I think it. I mean, I they took me to go see. This is before they were the Donnas. I think they might have still been Raggedy Ann, but they took me to go see uh, Bikini Kill, and I I mean, they all along very much knew what the power of them as them with loud music meant, even if it was heavy riffing. I think that they both loved it and used it as social commentary. I mean, they were fucking children listening to Bikini Kill, so their ears and minds were wide open right out of the gate.
So cool.
And maybe it was just Toronto, and hopefully they didn't have to deal with other places. But I remember the in-store signing that they did at Full Blast being one of the creepiest vibes of anything I'd ever been to. Like just like the dudes, and then, like you also got at
Oh,
their
that's a
show.
bummer.
Yeah, there was like this sort of like I guess that's the other dark side of this toxic masculinity coin of evil is sort of this real creepy, lecherous kind of like dude over girls in bands
Yeah.
kind of thing that you see.
There
And
were
Yeah.
so many regulars at the record store that would come in like only when I think we probably talked about this on the last podcast, but like, there was what I recognized as like sort of pedo type regulars who would only come in, yeah, like when like a female punk band or something put out a record, they'd always want the stickers and the posters and are you getting any promotional material and it was like I guess it's cool that you're listening to like female punk, but it's not for you. And
As
also
a
this isn't how we're
as a pedo regular.
yeah, as a pedo regular. And yeah, I feel like yeah, that's an interesting little world in itself.
I really got exposed to another version of it when I did a lot of wrestling documentaries a couple of years ago and kind of like the world around women's wrestling, which is like much like the world around women's punk, I think has gotten a lot better because I feel like the audiences now seems to reflect the bands a lot more. Like I feel like the Donnas would have a lot more of a young queer women just base of fans now than they did back then, as opposed to like lecherous sort of like you're saying
Yeah.
froshy rock dudes or creepy lecherous rock dudes, which seem to really be a lot of the population. But my God, women's wrestling had a real dark fan base. Like, oh
I
my
don't doubt it.
shit.
I'm glad it's improved. That's good to hear.
Yeah, like I feel like that's the I guess that's the draw. I guess the upside of the internet too is that you can kind of pool all these sort of like micro fan bases together and eventually like build into real legitimate outside sort of fan bases. I guess the other side is now these lecherous people have direct access to the people they want to harass and creep out too. So it is sword swings both ways on that one, unfortunately.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, maybe it's better than like showing up at someone's window or something,
I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to find some sort of, yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Weird.
speaking of documentaries, I didn't know if you know this, Jamie, but Kevin is one of my well, certainly in my opinion, one of the best documentarians going right now, and has made
Oh, congrats.
two of my favorite music documentaries ever.
What are they?
Thanks, Damian. One of them, Jamie, is I met your bandmate at the screening in Berlin. This movie about the New Romantics called Tramps, and so that had happened.
I am embarrassed to say that I've seen it. It's wonderful.
Oh, you
I
saw
love
it
it.
too.
Yeah, it's great. I didn't see it then, but I've seen it. It's fantastic.
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah, such a dumbass. I didn't put two and two a
Well, I'm
little bit
not in
together.
it.
It's oh, I it's wonderful. It's really great. I totally loved it.
Thanks. And thanks, Damian, for saying that. That's crazy. I'm still in shock that people can see it. It's my first time having stuff like, sorry, my hair looks so
It
bad
looks
right
cool. It looks fucking
now.
awesome. And I say this as a bald person, so take it for what it's worth.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. And that screening was cool in Berlin. It was like really small and people laughed a lot. I don't know, it was a cool vibe. With a lot of artists there that I really, respected and it's not available streaming in Europe either, so it's like I don't have a lot of ideas of how people would respond to it because obviously it's super English and in North America it's like I don't know. It's hard to find the balance there in viewership, so it's cool to know that people are taking the time to watch movies still. That's a tall order. Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe we have the capacity to, but I find it really special to know that people are watching them. So, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, you brought it to a good city. This I really probably just because I'm older and from LA, I grew up going to the movies. I go to the movies all the time, but man, people love going to the movies here. So you brought it to the right town.
Oh,
Um, yeah, fear or not, in a major city somewhere on the planet of Earth, people still go to the movies all the fucking time.
thank you. I just got off a phone call about, a kind of businessy phone call about like, do you want to play? I'm working on a new thing, and it's like, do you see this as a theatrical run or a da 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 da? And I'm like, see it as an everything run, like run it everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
It just doesn't work that way anymore. It's like you have to kind of, I don't know, it's weird. So, um,
What's
uh,
what's the other documentary?
the first one was about this band Fifth Column, who were like an arty band, kind of like a post-punk band in Toronto in the early '80s, and they basically kind of, if you can call it notoriety, like people were aware of them because GB Jones, the artist, the visual artist, and Bruce LaBruce had this scene JD's, which like infamously um, created this network of queer punks that hadn't existed before. But it was all based on lies. It was all based on a lie that they constructed in the scene that Toronto was like this gay punk utopia. But really, they were just like getting straight guys drunk and then making them get naked and have sex with them in the zine. So
Oh, fascinating.
yeah, fun time. And anyway, so yeah, it was really about it was about this kind of art collective because they made films and they did the zines and they didn't know how to play music. They were super different than anything that was going on in the city at the time, and they were tied to this. The punk community wasn't welcoming of like gays yet. Now it fucking orbits it, but like. Um, there was a lot of violence directed at them and they were really arty and they just kind of existed in this weird liminal world that was different than everything else. So but then, speaking of Bikini Kill and all that, they became notorious, as this kind of like band from Toronto that everybody wanted to see. And I guess in the movie we kind of talk about how that led to the Riot Girl thing with Kathleen, because Kathleen Hanna's in it and she talks all about worshiping GB Jones and blah blah blah. So I guess at the end of the day, it's just about yeah, like celebrating this sort of weird queer origin of Toronto subculture.
That's cool. What's it called? I'd love to see it.
It's called She Said Boom. I'll send you a link. She
Oh,
Said
please
Boom, the
do.
story of Fifth Column. But yeah, oh, Vaginal's in it. Vag Davis.
Oh, cool. Right
Yeah.
on.
That was incredible. Yeah, we went to Berlin and shot Vag in her little apartment. Um,
Nice.
and have you been to that apartment? Were you ever in her apartment in Berlin with all of
I
her?
haven't. My aforementioned bandmate Angela, who went and saw your movie, helped Veg move a lot of her art equipment from her apartment into her now studio, and it is. I've never been there, but I've heard it is quite cramped.
It was crazy because she's so big and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the toilet, like the maybe she
We've
explained.
talked about it many times.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just like, how does Vag get to the toilet? Because it was on top, the sink was on top of the toilet. And
Right.
the
Yeah.
bathroom was this big, covered in porn. And yeah, I never asked her how she gets in there and does her business. But yeah, I'm glad to at least have the visual of that whole thing. But and like, her voice was so, we were all really hungover, Berlin style, like a bunch of, speaking of frat people, and she's so loud and so much. I remember it being like those old Maxwell cassette commercials where the guys
Oh,
like
right.
would buy the speakers. Um, and yeah, it was incredible. So yeah, that's a cool movie actually. Like I sometimes, it just became available streaming at the same time that Tramps did. So that's weird because it was 10 years after I made it, and all of a sudden people are like watching it. It's like available. Um, so I did have to kind of revisit it, and when you make something, you go through those eras where you revisit or whatever, you think about something and you think it's like the cringiest thing in the world, and the next day you're in a mood and you're like, actually, that was really cool.
Oh,
It
yes, I
all,
know it well.
yeah. So it just, I'm glad. I was just throwing that out there. I'm like, shit, I hope Jamie feels that way, and Damian, but like, yeah, it's like it's fun. I was really happy to be able to incorporate that. Like that was my idea of celebrities at the time, like. And still, but yeah, like getting to talk to, and Kathleen Hanna actually wrote me somehow. I gotta go check on those emails because I don't remember how that happened because I was nowhere in the world of in her world, and I think I was just, oh, I shouldn't say this out loud actually. Uh, I wasn't like looking for her to be in the movie, and but then she was just really open and inviting, and we went to her house, and Kathleen Hanna's hilarious. Like I left with a kind of renewed appreciation of, I feel like I maybe grew out of like the whole Bikini Kill thing at the time, or I don't know. I just, um, either way, I was renewed by her approach to documentary, which admittedly was like, what do you want me to say? Which I love. I'm just like, oh yes, okay, validate this, and um, yeah, it was a cool experience, and was rooted in Bruce's like um, remarkable storytelling, ability, and he'd been doing that with me for years, and I just really yeah, that's how I started making my first movie, was just kind of wanting to hear more of that. And
That's great.
yeah, um I don't know. I feel you know Bruce and of
Mhm.
him.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. We're not close friends, but we're definitely friends. Yeah.
I went to the last Shoo show with him in Toronto. Um
Oh, thanks.
and what was the funny thing that was happening? There was like, wasn't somebody playing an instrument in the audience or something? Do you remember that? There was like a weird.
I can't
Oh,
I
oh my
remember that
God.
show,
No,
but
no,
I
no,
don't
no. No,
remember.
I remember what it is. I remember what it is. Okay, sorry. We'll edit, do some editing magic there. Now there was some weird music playing in your audience, and we were standing at the back. Like not at the back, but like there was there's a really sick spot in that club where you can see. And um there was this like sort of like Eastern European sounding music playing coming from somewhere, and you could hear it on stage. It was like the whole room was in on this, and I had taken an edible too, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And it went on and on. I think you guys played another song or whatever, and then the music was still fucking there, and we were all like, I think Bruce was even like, what the fuck, like where the fuck is that coming from? And then I was like, Bruce, is that coming from you? And it had been coming from his phone the entire time. He had been playing music on his phone, and it was like a large part of the show. It was like, I'm surprised
Oh
you don't
my
remember, because
goodness.
it was like a conversation that was happening, and everyone was laughing. I was laughing. I loved the fact that that music was playing. I think there was no band on the earth that it would make more sense to have this like ridiculous intrusion, happening as part of.
Especially from Bruce the Bruce as well. That's funny.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't. Yeah, I guess you didn't know that, but Bruce LaBruce ruined your show.
Well, he was very sweet afterwards. He made up for it. So
Add Bruce to the collaborators list.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think we're talking about doing a video with him for this next record. Hopefully it works out. I'd love to do it.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
I'm really glad Kathleen Hanna was included in that because I feel like both documentaries, to me, what makes them so awesome and so important is obviously like with
Me.
Fifth Column. Well, you especially because like we grew up together, but I feel like with the Fifth Column documentary, there's just like so much lore about this band that
Yeah.
needed to be put down, and
Mhm.
because yeah, like they're and talking to people. Like I have a letter from to Carolyn from Alison Wolf talking about like you're the inspiration for us.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
the main
wow.
thing. It wasn't even so much Kathleen that was part of that. I think it was more about her. That connection, the Bratmobile connection. Then Bratmobile took it, obviously, because they were so involved in the writing of the Riot Girl
The manifesto and having the
manifesto or
meetings.
whatever. And then that's how it got to Kathleen, etc.
Yeah, like it's funny because like obviously Bikini Kill is the originators of Riot Girl, but much in the same way with Minor Threat being the originators of Straight Edge, it's really SSD that brand it and turn it into this thing. And in the same way, obviously very different things, but I think Bratmobile is that to Riot Girl, where they're the ones that really take the ball and are like, okay, here's this thing now that we have it. And but I think the same way, like you brought up with Fifth Column, their connection to queercore through JD's and their connection to Bruce and Bruce talks a lot about it when he was on the show. I feel like it was such an amazing movie, a powerful movie to see as a person from Toronto, just being like, yeah, this is all this history that I've been like rattling around in my brain about for years, like made real. And I think in the same way, Tramps was that for something I had no awareness of at all. And walking out of that and just being like, oh my God, like obviously I knew because of Jane County, because of the Cockettes, like punk is queer music, but like seeing sort of like the queer history of the Sex Pistols and that side of it kind of brought out was like a revelation to me.
Dude, I mean, it was fucking crazy making that movie. The punk stuff, which I was trying to cut out. I was trying to make that whole bit about like industrial, all the stuff that was happening in industrial spaces. Like with the more, with Throbbing Gristle and everything, working in the Death Factory right at London Fields and all of that. I was just like, fuck, I can't talk about punk again and tramps, and like I don't even want to use that word. And I resented even using the word about Fifth Column, but like um it was crazy, like kind of befriending the person who opened the Roxy, um, and really getting a sense of how small the scene was and how varied, and the fact that it was a fucking mafia owned, like like super janky club that was welcoming all these weird art kids and homos and stuff. It's like it's another one of those strange Nikki Crane sort of things where you're like, how are you doing both? Um, but yeah, and like being in Andrew Chowski's house, Andrew and Sue's house, like I don't know, Damien, you've probably seen some crazy things, but like seeing like the first ever like Gen X like flyer, that was made by Andy, and like it's just stuff that just still excites me. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm just like even thinking about it, like they literally had the first Pet Shop Boys flyer. It was like uh, it was like Erasure or maybe Bronski Beat, either Erasure or Bronski Beat, and it said like introducing the Pet Shop Boys, and I remember like
Wow. That's
shaking because
cool.
I
That
do
is
I do love
cool.
a bit of pop. I do love a bit of pop lore, so it was like everything. It was like it was like there was no. It's just crazy being around artifacts like that. It's like if it feels like you're in a museum, and you're allowed to touch everything. It's like my main incentive for really doing documentaries is basically getting access to the stuff that just saying, "Oh, I'm making a documentary," gives you access to, because um, I still get like such a thrill from, and even all the shit that I have from the Fifth Column movie. Like people just ended up dumping shit on me. Like, Damon, I got to show you one time. Like all this old punk stuff, all the mixtapes, all the stuff. You're gonna want it, and
I will.
it's cool because it kind of makes I don't know. Like I was saying about like people who were friends with Jarman and oh my God, I'm mixing up my two meetings.
No,
Sorry,
well,
I'm mixing up. I don't think I talked about this. I'm
you
working
talked
on
about
this.
Jarman on your last episode a lot, but
Okay. Well, yeah, anyways, I'm like working on something. But
oh no, this is okay. No, don't have to go down that road if you don't want to. But
yeah, I
say
don't know if I'm supposed to say that. I'm just a nothing. I'm nothing. It doesn't matter what I'm working on, but it's just like anyways, I am working on this thing that involves Derek Jarman, and you do encounter people who just have shit under their beds with these people, and don't have the incentive to like pull it out or value their archive or whatever. So
and
yeah, that really did go on a I did veer off there. But yeah, making that movie was crazy just because there was so much mythology around, British punk, and it's the most visible origin story in like all the different versions of punk, and really felt unreal to have it all be so like tactile and um and familiar, really. It just kind of familiarized stuff to the kind of punk scene that I was able to orbit, when I was like in my early 20s or whatever. Um, there's a flattening that happens, even though you're like in awe. There, having those flyers and stuff in your hand, you're like, oh, it's just the same shit, and there's cycles of worship that's probably happening now with whatever flyers, uh,
well,
are being
that's the
conquered.
thing that's kind of developed. I think since I've talked to both of you, it's this idea that I hold now that like punk is a religion, and that's where we get our moral code. Like to go back to Palestine, like when Kurt Vile was on the show, he's like, I knew about Israel and Palestine from propaganda as a kid.
Oh, true.
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I got my moral compass. I got more of my moral compass from punk rock and learning firsthand from reading zines from people from different experiences, different backgrounds, or people hipping me to writers that I would not have learned about in school than I ever learned in anything in school at any level. Like I learned more from punk rock. And so in the same way that religion would give someone a moral code, I feel like I got that through punk rock. And in the same way that there are these obviously flawed idols that we kind of put up there to look at, and I feel like that's very much like a
As there
religion.
are flawed religious figures.
100%. They're
Yeah,
probably less flawed in punk rock, weirdly, but
probably.
I
Well,
feel like
you've seen Dan Graham's Rock My Religion.
no, I
Have
don't
you
think
seen
so.
that? Oh my God. It's this Dan Graham's an artist. He's like a Kim Gordon studied under him or whatever. He's like a hoity-toity.
Was he part of Destroy All Monsters or no? Or
No, no.
okay,
He wasn't from that world, but anyways, he's like a New York guy, and or at least in this instance, a New York guy, and it's like a video art piece about Patti Smith. It's called Rock My Religion. I can send you a link when we're done
I
this.
gotta see it. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's basically kind of marrying this idea of like mythology and um, that spiritual sort of quest, which I, it's interesting because like mythology is just as much like bullshit as it is a source of inspiration. It's just a matter of how you look at it, and it's spirituality or anything like that. Um, but in my movies, I love the idea of perpetuating a mythology because the mythology of rock and roll and the mythology of punk and the lore, as we call it, um, is really the not knowing is still just as exciting to me as the I didn't know about that. Like with Fifth Column, they basically were, I don't know what you call it, but they were in shock. Like they're in memory shock. So their details were all screwed up except for GB and Bruce, who were like, um, and I was just like, no, that's okay.
Well,
Just say your memory of it because I love the idea of, it's funny, the word's so like present now, but like misinformation and mythology and rewriting history, uh, and being aware of that when you're making things. It's like people don't like it when I say that, but just because you're making a documentary doesn't mean you have to reveal some sort of underwhelming element or some sort of relatable, realistic element. Like, I feel like I also want to kind of reinvigorate the mythology of it all and the wondering and the not knowing. And I think Fifth Column, and you saw that later, like in the early 2000s, of everyone doing like the anonymous thing, like fucking Crystal Castles and just basically every duo on the planet except Choo we're doing that anonymity thing, right? And I think that's kind of what people are chasing in that, is this sort of the intangible. And
I mean, Werner Herzog talks a lot about that in documentaries, not necessarily needing to be factual, but they can be mythological and still get the exact point across. I think that's a wonderful art approach and a wonderful history of art approach. I mean, you don't necessarily, I mean, the art doesn't necessarily have to be totally factual. So it's sort of preposterous that the history of art needs to be, in to needle precision, totally factual. It can be as much about mythology and as much about feeling and still be as effective.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that's why I think
exactly.
Tramp. That's what I liked about Tramps, because to me that was you creating a through line that I don't think other people saw, or at least I had never seen before. Between,
Fuck, I'm hate to be a dick. I gotta go in like 5 minutes.
oh my
Sorry.
God, I'm sorry, I could punish you forever, and because
Okay.
there's a lot more to get to. I'm really like leaving a lot out,
What
but
do we have to cover? What do we have to cover?
no,
Are
there's
we
too
talking
much. It's
about
we're getting too heady. It's going
James
to be too
record,
heady.
the cover record?
I
Great
want.
record, by the way. It's fun to have all those songs all together. It's such a
Very
fucking
nice.
wild ride.
Yeah, there's like I want to say, if you guys want to do a podcast, just the two of you, and I'll just help engineer it. I just would love to hear more conversation, or be a third wheel again. Anytime you guys can get together and do one of these, I would love to have you both on.
I'll come anytime. It's good. It's good to chat with both you cats.
Well, maybe I saw there's some European shoo dates. Are you guys coming back to North America anytime soon, or no plans?
We in October we're doing three West Coast shows, and then in March then we'll do like, but that's for this Eraserhead thing. We'll do like full on quote unquote for real touring in a van. And starting in March, I'm sure we'll be in Toronto.
So you're touring, doing a live soundtrack for Eraserhead, basically.
Sort of. It's more like a tribute to the aesthetics of Eraserhead. We're not like playing to the movie, but we sort of made a short movie based on the aesthetics of Eraserhead, and then did a soundtrack based on the original sound design of
Oh,
Eraserhead.
oh,
It's even more nerdy
lots of hissing,
than
lots,
playing along.
lots of hissing radiators.
Lots of hissing
Um,
radiators.
well, I mean, in terms of actually complimenting you, I have to say that like the Twin Peaks record that you guys did is probably one of the only examples of like totally cringe-free um, sort of uh, tribute to
Oh,
biology and that whole thing. I
that
feel
means a lot to me. Thank you.
I wasn't sure if it was just going to be you going, or like I was like, where are we going with this? How shoo is it getting? But it's like I was like, oh fuck yeah, this is yeah, it was a real surprise and relief. That record was so I really hope that that movie is or that film that you guys made is more visible to us than just seeing it on tour, because it's um
There's between all of us and maybe do or don't put this in there. There's so much copywritten material in it that we stole from other things that I don't think that we can show it any place other than live.
classic, classic. Yeah,
An
also
astonishing
familiar.
amount of heisted imagery.
We got to set up an AGO date, Kevin.
Yeah, yeah, I could set up a screening here for sure.
I
Um,
think we got a plan. I think we do the next time we do this, it's live, and we're not
yeah,
going to be nude or psychic, but
Okay.